So, though it's only Wednesday, what a week it's been in terms of college football recruiting news, and especially if you're a fan of the Clemson Tigers, where this week has seen Clemson surge up recruiting rankings. And yesterday we talked about the impact five-star linebacker Sammy Brown could have for the Tigers. However, shortly after that video was released, it did not take long for Clemson to start stacking wins again, specifically two very gifted wide receivers. Today, we need to break down what the additions of five-star wide receiver Bryant Wesco out the state of Texas and four-star wide receiver TJ Moore will mean for this Clemson offense. Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited with the way Clemson is recruiting? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions seem small. They are massive to content creators such as myself. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And before we start addressing why these are big-time additions for this Clemson offense, there's something else I wanted to start with. Because whenever we follow recruiting, I think it's important that we try and find themes. And specifically, whenever we listen to what led these prospects to their decisions, I think it's important that we try and find commonalities. And specifically with the Clemson Tigers, every time I listen to these prospects talk about either what stands out to them about Clemson or why they chose Clemson as their college destination, there's a certain word that comes up time and time again. It may manifest itself in different ways, but nonetheless, the theme is there, and that's culture. Time and time again, you hear about the relationships that Dabo, Swinney, and this staff are able to foster with these prospects, the culture of Clemson, and it wins them recruiting battles consistently. And these additions are no different. We hear that theme once again, and I think it's interesting. Whenever you start listening to these prospects talk about why they made their decisions, start trying to pick apart the commonalities, because it can lead you to having a greater understanding of why that program has success. And when we look at Clemson, the way they've built that culture, the way they've built that family environment, it makes sense why that team seems so close, why those players love Dabo so much, and why that staff has so much success on the recruiting trail. But I digress. Let's jump into these fantastic two additions, and we'll start with Bryant Wesco out the state of Texas. Because Bryant Wesco stands 6'2", 170 pounds, and if we look at the 24/7 Sports Composite, he's considered one of the best prospects in all of high school football, regardless of position. In that 24/7 Sports Composite, he comes in as the number 37 prospect in the nation, the number 8 wide receiver, and the number 8 player in the state of Texas, a state absolutely loaded with talent on a year-in, year-out basis. So being a top 10 player in the state of Texas, that's very impressive. And whenever we turn on the film, what does Bryant Wesco do well? Well, I think an easier question is trying to find out what he doesn't do well. This is a guy that can high point the football. He can burn your DBs. He can take a short pass and take it the distance. He's got a really deep and versatile skill set. And I love that he has all of that ability in a frame that's 6'2", 170 pounds going in to his senior year. This is the type of big body wide receiver that can do it all, and you love this addition if you're Clemson. One thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to Bryant Wesco is what an absolutely insane recruiting process this has been. Because if we rewind a little bit, in the not-so-distant past, this looked like this was an OU battle to lose. Bryant Wesco had been visiting the Oklahoma Sooners. He'd fostered really positive relationships with Brent Venables, Jeff Lebby, and several other members of that OU staff, and Oklahoma had been quite successful at getting top-tier Texas quarterbacks. Jackson Arnold, the 5-star Texas quarterback in the class of 2023, and then doubling down in the class of 2024 with 4-star quarterback out the state of Texas, Michael Hawkins. So Oklahoma looked like they were in the driver's seat of this battle. It was something that we all had to watch, and OU just hired new wide receiver coach Emmett Jones, who was notorious for his relationships in the state of Texas, and Bryant Wesco being from the state of Texas, it looked like Oklahoma was going to take this one home. However, as time continued to pass, TCU started rising up the board. Wide receiver coach there, Malcolm Kelly, is notoriously good at fostering positive relationships with these prospects. He is constantly in on some very talented wide receivers, and it made sense. TCU is close to home. He could play in close proximity to his family. Malcolm Kelly's a fantastic wide receiver coach, and the Horned Frogs are coming off of a really stellar year. But then that gets us into Clemson, because we talk about the culture, we talk about the family aspect of the Tigers, but now we need to realize who the offensive coordinator now is. Because make no mistake, I'm sure the culture, the family aspect of Clemson is as compelling as it gets. But if you're a Bryant Wesco, a very talented wide receiver, and Clemson just hired a guy that you watched put his wide receivers on full display for all of college football to see, I can see where that would be a very exciting pitch, very tough to say no to. Because we saw what those TCU wide receivers did in that Garrett Riley offense. They got involved, they got active, and it wasn't just one guy, it was several different guys. So it makes complete sense when an offensive prospect, specifically a wide receiver, would look at Clemson, see they already recruited a high level, see that people laud the culture, the family environment, and then look at who the new offensive coordinator is, Garrett Riley, and you see the high-powered offense he just put out. And look, the same conversation can be had for TJ Moore, the four-star wide receiver out the state of Florida. He stands 6'3", 190 pounds, comes in as the number 157 prospect in the nation, the number 24 wide receiver, and the number 25 prospect in the state of Florida. And a similar conversation can be had with TJ Moore that we had with Bryant Wesco, a big body wide receiver that has the ability to do anything. And TJ Moore is a really exciting prospect, someone who personally I think might be a little bit underrated right now. Circle the name, watch how he continues to rise. But we also need to circle the name Bryant Wesco, because earlier I told you how in the 24/7 Sports Composite he was ranked just outside the top 35 prospects in the nation, number 37. But if you look at the 24/7 Sports rankings themselves, well, they show how much they value him as a prospect, where he comes in squarely as a 5-star. So both of these guys are names you're going to want to circle, because personally, I think they could both continue rising up the recruiting boards. Being able to get both of these guys in the same class, I think, is an absolute win. You have two big body wide receivers that have a ton of versatility, can hurt a defense in the short, intermediate, or long game, have the ability to get physical, high point to football, you name it, they can do it. And I think if you're a Clemson fan, you need to be over the moon with how the Tigers are recruiting right now. But there is no question, the impact Garrett Riley will have on this offense is something I'm excited to see. I think we're already seeing it in recruiting. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.